Good morning, welcome back. You know, this time of the year, families gather to celebrate graduates and their huge accomplishment, but after the ceremonies end and everyone goes back home, what's next? Over the past 2 years, the life of recent grads has looked a lot different. Joining us to talk about that is the founder of Say Life, which of the Coach Institute, which is Elyssa Lassiter. Good morning. Thank you for joining us here.
Yes, Cleo, thank you so much for having me here today.
Of course. So we're talking about recent grads, and yes, this is a huge accomplishment, but right, grads have been dealing with the pandemic for the past 2 years. What trends are you seeing? One of them I know is taking that gap year.
Yes. Yes, and you know, I think one thing that's so important for family members and support systems to know is that success is going to look so different for every person.
Very true.
And you know, you just think of the past couple of years and how it's affected us adults. Just imagine your 16, 17, 18-year-old who's just getting out of high school and wondering, okay, what's next and how do I go about doing this? And so I really encourage people, you know, your idea of success, define it. Take the time and see what it looks like for yourself, because if you're constantly measuring yourself by somebody else's measuring stick, you're going to fall short every time.
So would you advise, I guess, one of those tips that parents sit down with their recent grads and talk about what success looks like for them?
Yes, absolutely. And we all know our moms and dads and godparents and support systems want the best.
They do.
Yeah, they want the best. However, we have to make sure not to project what we want to have or what we didn't have onto them, and really take the time. What does your graduate want? What are their passions? What are their loves? What lights them up and gets them excited? What wakes them up in the morning? What keeps them up at night when it comes to their goals and dreams and the things that they want to achieve?
You know, I've heard some parents talk about their recent grads and the fact that, you know, with the virtual learning and all the ups and downs and changes, that they're not that motivated. How do you deal with that?
Absolutely.
And I can see how that, you know, could have happened.
Yes. I think it's so important, speaking of motivation, to see what motivates you. There's intrinsic motivators, there's extrinsic motivators, but what is it that really gets you going, and to be mindful about what that is. So I encourage people to take some time, write those things down, really get in touch with your why. I know we hear it all the time.
Right, what is your why?
Yes, but to get in touch with really what moves you. And what moves you may be something different that moves someone else.
When we're talking about those tips and talking to your child about what success looks like for you, any other advice for parents to kind of help their children find their way?
Yes. I want to encourage people that we all move through the world in a different way. You have some people who are more focused and they want to be that veterinarian that they wanted to be when they were 7 years old, and they became that today. Actually, I had a cousin who just graduated from vet school.
Well, congratulations.
Yes. And then you have those who move through the world in a different way and really want to experience and try and get to see what they like and what they don't like. And it can be very tempting to say, you're all over the place, you're doing too much. I'm sure we've all heard that at some point. But to kind of stray from doing that and making sure that we recognize that everybody explores the world in a different way, and how can we best support them while they're on that journey.
Do you think it's, I guess, important to accept that? Listen, times are changing.
Yes, absolutely. And as you mentioned, the gap year. I know when I went through school, gap year, what?
I know, my mom would have been like, absolutely not.
You're going gap year to college.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so to really accept and to know that we're all moving through the world in different ways. There's been so many things that have changed. We're going to school virtually. Absolutely.
Yes.
And so how can we best support our graduate on their journey, not ours, but theirs.
Yes, Elyssa, thank you so much for joining us. Great insight this morning, and we'll put your information on our website at WFAA.com. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you, Cleo.
All right, of course. And we'll be right back after this break. Stick with us.